that's raised. but yeah.
Yeah. You never know.
So excellent. So you felt that Florida really had been an upgrade. Where did you live in Britain, I have to ask then?
So we were in the northwest. We started off life in Chester, which is a very old Roman city, very, very pretty. Has a gorgeous river running through it. Architecture is just beautiful. So we were really lucky where we lived. In the Cheshire Plains, so lots of lovely countryside. Then my husband and I work in England. We were both in the law. So the English terminology is solicitor and barrister. We've come to use attorney because, of course, that's more Americanism for what we did. So we were that, and we were that in Liverpool and Manchester, so still in the northwest. So we got to hang out in Liverpool and live in Liverpool for quite some time, which was fabulous.
Beatles territory, right? Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. And the vibe in Liverpool is fantastic. We still often go back and visit there because of it.
Okay, so that must be really different to Florida. I'm thinking culture.
Yes. Yes. It's different. It is.
Like an essay. Expand on that.
Yes.
Culture.
Yeah, no, very, very different. And it's funny, we get to go back to England 2 or 3 times a year with our work. We actually go back and do trade shows over in the UK. So we still, even though we've lived in Florida now for 14 years, we still get that snapshot into England and English culture every now and again. And it's really nice to just get re-emerged in it and enjoy that time that we're back. And yeah, coming back to Florida, we always feel as if we feel at ease here, very calming here. It's a very easy way of living in Florida. It's a different culture for sure. Not that that's bad or good, just a different culture. Everything's a lot more relaxed. They have the expression here saying Florida man, meaning just so chilled out, very relaxed.
Really?
Everybody's a little bit slower because, well, one, it's hotter for starters, but 2, I just don't think they maybe take themselves so seriously, or that they're a little bit more relaxed about things. So there is something to be said about that.
I'm identifying like the Liverpool scene and the Beatles, even with this sort of, the struggle of life and then becoming something greater. Whereas Florida is like, hey, I got it. I got it all. I've got the beach. I've got the weather. I'm happy. Good.
Right, exactly. I think there's definitely like a stillness or a settled feeling with a lot of people here that life is good. There's a very positive, cheerful aspect to Florida people for sure.
I like that. So I'm curious now, your clients, because I know you specialize in this relocation market. And as for our expanding new international audience, we're going global and going fast. I'm not an agent. I'm not an agent. So for your clients in Europe, in the UK, I presume they're not yet at that level of having that certainty and safety and feeling that everything is okay, and they're seeking that. Is that correct? Where are they from on the whole, and how are you sort of changing their life? Really, that sounds a bit cliche. But
well, it is that's the really nice part about what we do, is that we are effectively changing people's lives, and I think we've got a 10 success rate. That everybody we've helped has changed their lives for the better. But that's one of the really nice things about doing this job, is because we're taking people who are expressing an interest to either buy in Florida or move to Florida, that they may not have the complete jigsaw worked out yet, so, all different pieces, and trying to figure out what goes where. And that very often come in quite early on in that experience for them. And one of the things we really like to do is right at the beginning, just starting out thinking about it, is to do one of our buyer consultations, which we can do in person, or we do, on a Zoom call like we are today. But really kind of dig down into what it is they're trying to achieve, because very often they have an idea of what they want to do, but then they might not have the understanding as to how to do it. And that's one of the things through what Ben and I have done the move from the UK to Florida. We've lived that path. We know the emotional minefield that comes with that, but we know how to navigate it. So we know the feeling of uncertainty for these people, the risk, the what ifs, we've been there, done it, got the t-shirt. So we're able to impart that to them and try and reassure them. But it's one of the things that a lot of our buyers will say to us is that they just appreciate you were there from the beginning through to the end. And even after the end, we don't just leave people once it's not transactional, it's not done, closed, off we go. We actually end up making friends with a lot of the people we end up helping, which is really nice because then we have that ongoing relationship afterwards.
Have some mega house parties, I have to say.
Yes.
That's why Ryan
come to the
came
next
to
one.
Florida, isn't it? I know now. But yeah,
in fact, he said, when he was here the other day, he said that. He said, I don't know what it is about you guys in Orlando. He said, you all seem to have such a good time and you do all of this and you do it so easily and you do it with a smile on your face. And we all went, yes, sir. Yes, we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm getting that sense that, it is about the people, not the property, which I've touched on it sometimes in our podcast, that's a very real expression of it, isn't it? You're focused on
Correct.
the whole change of life from one whole continent
Correct.
to another is huge.
Yes.
And gosh, okay, the cultural, I mean, look, we could have a whole episode for sure, right, on just the cultural differences. I mean, you just mentioned even the translation of the words. I mean, in Australia, you don't call anyone realtor, a realtor.
Yeah. Yes, you have to say it like that. Yes, a realtor.
So, I mean, can you, top of mind, just for fun, like what is one of the memorable cultural confusions or translations or experiences that you've had or that you kind of give people the heads up about of Britain or Europe to Florida?
I think that is the quickness of the buying process here. I think that's the part that might just catch people out. Not necessarily language, because of course very often the language is the same because of course they speak English here. So
really?
It's American English. So there are some caveats to that statement. Very often I have to have my 14-year-old translate for me when I'm asking for water, because of course I say water rather than water. So there's sometimes a bit of that. But yeah, you won't believe, Yeah. So of course I go more English, and so it becomes more pronounced, water. No, I'm not guessing. Yes, no. So yes, there's a bit of that. But no, in terms of the process that catches people out is so in Florida, when you're buying, if you're buying cash, you can get that wrapped up as quickly as a week. It typically would take more like 3 to 4 weeks, but you could, if you wanted to, do it in a week, which is no time, right? If you're going to be buying with a mortgage, an American mortgage, it might take you as long as 6 weeks, which if you compare that to the UK, of course, it can take months for the buying process. And so there is a definite cultural in that regard. So yeah, it's those kind of things that we're well versed in that we can then help our people and guide them through it.
So that's actually very interesting. Like Australia, then I presume Australia would have gone with the British way, but actually Australia is more like the US. When we have, hang on, am I getting it confused? No, when we sell a place, there is no long settlement period like 6 weeks to inauguration. It's like our election.
Yeah.
Overnight, you're done. You're out. Give us the keys. You're gone. Like literally.
Oh, really? Really? Gosh,
there's an election overnight and you get the keys and the Prime Minister is gone the next morning. I mean, you see on the TV, he's moving out literally with all of his advisors and the boxes are gone. And I had a British agent in the main series who was explaining to me that that's actually what our real estate process is like. So that would be more akin to the US model then, from what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the US model, is just very quick. It just moves very quickly. They define a lot of their contract terms at the beginning. You have a written contract at beginning of the process. Again, that's very different to what you get in the UK, for example. The UK agree to sell, you might agree the terms in terms of the price to sell at, but the dates of that contract are set until much further down the process. So there can be a bit of ambiguity, there can be concern for the buyer and the seller because you never really know what date you're working to. Whereas in Florida, you get that set at the beginning. So once you contract, once you know you're buying or selling, you know you're closing on X date.
Okay, so it's not a surprise. So it's like,
no,
I can plan for this. If I'm sick, I've got someone.
Correct.
Get pneumonia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got someone ready to do the. How interesting. So that's kind of a good thing or a bad thing, or I guess it just depends, huh?
I think it's a good thing so long as the buyer and seller sometimes are prepared. If it was to take them by surprise, then that's not a good feeling, is it? So we always like to try and prepare and explain. I think part of the difficulty that we have on a day-to-day basis is that when we tell people how quick it is, they almost don't believe, as if they say, no, it couldn't be that quick. And so we always like to try and give the heads up so they understand the process.
When you're saying, I am the agent, I am the expert. Yes. Trust me.
I've done this a few times. Let me tell you how it is. Yeah.
How interesting. Wow. Yeah. And okay, what else comes to mind of very odd things we need to know if I'm going to relocate to Florida? Yeah, it's rather tempting at times.
Yeah. Well, come on over. The water is just fine.
And if you like tennis, it's your place. Yeah. Tennis.
Yeah.
Everywhere. That's a thing I think of when I think of Florida.
Oh, for sure. I mean, sports generally, Florida is really doubling down on the sports. We just got a brand new NFL American football team for Orlando Storm. They just debuted a couple of months back. They're making a huge splash. They're winning every game. So that's a big, big thing. That's bringing in so much more investment and interest into the area. But it's on the back of many others. So tennis, like you said, baseball, ice hockey, American football, soccer. So yeah, there's a huge element. And I think that's part of the reason why Florida is so attractive to regular lay people, but also athlete relocation, because they're having to live in and around the area where they're then working. So we do a lot of that as well.
Yeah. So are there any downsides there, the challenges of the Florida market you like to give people a bit of a heads up about?
Oh, that's a good question. Any downsides?
And look, we're not going to go political.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, I think in terms of the process, no, other than the quickness, which I think does catch people out sometimes. But no, I don't think there is a downside because Florida is such a buyer-friendly state. The way that they have the contracts and the templates all set up, they're all designed to be consumer buyer-friendly. So I do think it can...
Explain.
Right, exactly. And straightforward, yeah, and all out front, so that everybody knows what they're doing. So that's a good thing. And so because it's so buyer-friendly, if you remember that Florida really is a tourist state, the whole state is driven by tourism, really, and that's its main income. And so it wants to make it so that it's investor-friendly, business-friendly. It wants to invite people in. It wants people to invest, all done the proper way, of course, but looking to make that easy. So I can't actually think of
it's really usually a few hours to Europe and 1 hour to Mexico, and you've got a little breakaway as well. So I remember I did like that about the States. In fact, I got a bit questioned at immigration once. I was a little stunned. This agent was saying, how come back 5 years ago you've had like 7 or 8 trips in and out of Florida with this look on his face like, are you a drug dealer? And I said, hang on, it was 5 years ago. I can't remember that long ago.
They were giving you a hard time, were they?
And then I realized after, Florida is this transport capital, and it's cheaper to go in and out of Florida to anywhere in the Central America region or even South America than it is to fly direct. So you just want to hop in and out of West Palm Beach even. I mean, I know that the small airlines are changing around, but yeah, it's quite remarkable what a hub it is.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's another thing why people like to move here is that it is so well structured for the transport side of things. The airports, there's so many, even in the Central Florida area, there's so many that you can choose from, but all over Florida. We have the Bright Line train station line now, which connects from Orlando, takes you all the way down or across to the East Coast and all the way down. So you can actually be down in Miami on the train now in a matter of hours. And the trains are nice. They're really nice. Very clean, modern, spacious, luxurious. Yeah, very nice. So yeah, very, very easy to move around. And of course, the road system is very good. You know, big roads, which I know can scare people sometimes when they're not used to American-sized roads. But actually, when you're here and you're living it, you get very used to that space. And so when I go back to the UK, I then feel as if it's quite small and a little challenging for that reason. So yeah, I enjoy the space here. The ability to move around is second to none.
Right? You've got also the very big car culture. So I imagine that's why you have these huge freeways running everywhere. So have you got any colorful stories you can share with us? I mean, preferably from the luxury end of the market. Oh, the expression. Sometimes I wish we just rely mostly on it because of the guest expression, like right now.
Yeah. We see all sorts. We really do.
Zoe.
I know. We'll keep it clean, right?
We will.
Let's think. Well, we have interesting situations where we had one last year. We were helping a gentleman buy a property not so far from where I am right now, which is Windermere, which is a gorgeous town set amongst the lakes. It's very pretty. We're right on the edge of Disney. So people would be thinking that it was all Mickey Mouse, but actually where Windermere is and some of the nice residential areas can be just on the cusp of Disney and just be like night and day, completely residential. You wouldn't know that Disney and all of that is right there on your doorstep. Very, very local, easy living, nicely done. But we had this gentleman, he wanted to buy a very nice property that was lakefront. And he was very clear as to what he wanted with this house. He didn't just want the house. When he'd viewed the house, had seen that it had a boat, it had jet skis, it had a golf cart, and it had a H2 Hummer in the drive.
Wow.
And so when we came to discuss him having the house, he instructed Ben and I to not only get the house, but he wanted the boat, the golf cart, the jet skis, and he also wanted the H2 Hummer.
Go for
and it was
the
one of those where we went,
deal. That's right. Go for the package.
Right. But they're the kind of things that, you might not ordinarily think about when buying a property. But in Florida, all those different things are kind of the accessories and the toys that you're used to here, because that's what everybody's using. They're out on the lakes, they're boating, sunset boat rides, might be up the next morning golfing at 7 a.m. February, when everybody else in the world is freezing, we're having dinners outside. It's a very easy, wonderful lifestyle here for sure.
And it's not just the midlife crisis years; it's forever.
It is. Yeah, all ages.
In a good way.
All ages. Well, do you know, they say when you move to Florida, you actually lose 20 years in age. Actually go back in 20 years, which I love. I'm celebrating my 21st birthday all over again.
Exactly. You do. You look it. Exactly.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
So he just kind of got the whole package, and you said sure.
Yeah, he got the whole package. He said he wanted all those different things, and he still wanted to get the property under ask. And we were kind of like, okay, let's go to work. But that's the thing. Ben and I, with us being solicitor, barrister, trial advocates, attorneys, whatever the word is we're going to use, that was what we used to do for so many years. We were just used to taking instructions from our clients and running with it and saying, okay, we'll advise and we'll help you into some situation, but then they are your instructions. And so taking those instructions and then going to the other side, that's part of our enjoyment. That's the sport that we enjoy. And so then going to the other side and presenting that, with a straight face, as if we're not joking. No, we want the house under ask and we want all the toys as well. And we got it. We got that house under ask and we got all the toys, and the customer, the buyer was very happy. So
I bet they were. And
Yeah,
you had a
yeah.
few lovely cruises around on all those toys, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're
The
still waiting for
benefits.
that invite, but I'm sure it's coming.
That's fantastic. So I'm wondering then, do people tend to kind of defer mainly to you, and then Ben is sort of a different role? What's it really like working as a husband and wife team? And I ask that because we've had quite a few pop up in our series, but we haven't yet had the in-depth interview and said, okay, tell us.
Well,
Is it a
you
good
see
idea?
all these wrinkles and these worry lines. I'll tell you, they're from my husband. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm actually very lucky. And Ben
Yeah.
and I have a wonderful relationship, both in terms of marital relationship and also working relationship. And we're very, very lucky. I'm pausing because anybody that knows us will know that we are very professional. We do a good job, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. And that's part of our vibe and how we work together. I
Okay.
think you have to have that. If you're going to live together, you're going to work together, you've got to learn to laugh as well. So we have a
That's true.
huge amount of laughter between us and a wonderful relationship. But no, we figure it out. We have different skill sets, just
Yeah.
like any other sort of business couple or, whether they're married or not. We just have different skill sets. We tend to partner up together and do a lot together. But then Ben is very much the figures guy. He is also a mortgage loan originator, which is somebody that's a mortgage expert that does all the mortgages as well. So he's very numbers driven. He all that, all the smart stuff he does.
Mm.
And then for my side, I'm kind of more of the front person, more of the relationship person, the admin person, do a lot of the admin side, but just kind of keeping it all moving forward. Whatever the term is for that person, that's me. But we kind of figure it out between us. We bounce it between us, and we work very well together. Yeah.
It's kind of the details, and you're, in a sense, project management and scouting. I love scouting, so I'm a little envious.
Yeah.
You must
Yeah.
have some gorgeous.
I'm the person that
property
says,
scouts.
let's go do it. And then Ben figures out how to do it.
And you say, you're coming along for the ride, just hop on the back there.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
imagine too that when you have husband and wives wanting to buy, which must be obviously a large proportion of the market, that's got to be a really good dynamic as well and skill set to offer them, that you can have you as a husband and wife team. I mean, it's interesting with
Yes.
interior designers, one of the biggest complaints I hear them make is actually about having to deal with husbands and wives both having different breeds.
Yes.
And them having to put a
Yes.
therapist in the middle. I could not do that. I
Yes.
say to my clients, sorry, one client only, that's my gig. I'm not going to be in the middle, but I'm a child of divorce, so go figure. Your daughter can can have a lot of fun with that one. But yeah, you two having that husband and wife dynamic can kind of help and empathize with both, both roles, both situations, different personalities.
Right. And I think that's true. I think also that, the expression is horses for courses, that, I might not be everybody's cup of tea, but then Ben might appeal to that person and vice versa. So it is kind of sweet to have the balance of having two people in that situation, because, one might have a better affiliation for whatever reason. And so, might be able to smooth a deal through better than the other, perhaps. But Ben and I, when we were lawyers back in the UK, we did a lot of divorce law. We were actually divorce lawyers for many years. So we are well versed with dealing with husband and wives that don't necessarily get along. But one of the sweetest stories that I could tell you is one particular couple who sadly separated, and the wife then needed to find herself another property. So we were asked to assist. And we found her this gorgeous property here in Orlando, lakefront, beautifully modern property. Got her a great price as well. And she was very happy. She was able to move on with her life. But through helping her, a good friend who was coming to the showings and was involved in supporting her good friend, she very kindly said, after watching you and Ben assist my friend, you have made me want to be a realtor. And so she went on to become a realtor because she had watched how Ben and I had assisted this wife who was separating. And I love that story because that's just the inspiration. Being able to do that is such an accolade. We don't take that lightly at all. But I love that she watched us in in action, if you like, and thought, yeah, I want to do that.
And it shows how pivotal our homes are to our lives. I mean, of course,
Yes.
but really we do take it a bit for granted, don't we? And what a wonderful way for us to wrap up. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for listening in. Join us again for another episode of Meet the Agent Podcast.